Hello everybody, so today is another fragrance video, and today we're going to be discussing two fragrances that I don't have very strong emotions towards, but I do enjoy having in my collection. These are not the fragrances I'll be repurchasing in the future. These are the fragrances that I will review, probably finish up, and then move on to something bigger and better. However, I did want to talk about them because they're certainly made for a definite type of an audience, and I would like to present them to you, so maybe you are that audience or you would be interested to try it out. They're not completely expected. First one is a very nice vintage pick. This is a new perfume, obviously, but I did decide to purchase it. I've smelled it for a long time, and this is YSL Paris. What inspired me to try the original Paris is not actually a new perfume. This is a fragrance from the 80s, but recently there's been a more recent, I guess, iteration of Paris, the very sweet candy-like, slightly floral Mon Paris, My Paris, by YSL. So they, kind of updated this guy. This is the original. And those two fragrances have nothing at all to do with each other. But I was curious and I looked up this one and I was interested to try it, so then I did. I did find it at a good bargain online. So I did buy it. I can't say I'm in love with it though, because I was really expecting a little bit more vintage vibe. There's no doubt in my mind that this perfume is quite vintage in its nature. So if you are a lover of vintage florals, I think this might be your jam. If you aren't, if you're into sweeter fragrances or the vintage, slightly musty, slightly powdery florals are not your thing, then, skip on to the next one I'm going to be describing. So this is quite interesting. This is a Sophia Groisman creation, and she was a huge influence in perfumery in her day. I believe she still works occasionally. I think she's still alive and works, but I could be wrong. I didn't research her recently, so I might not get all the details about her life. But she's done a lot in terms of creating very marked, very important scents that really shaped the decades she was working in. Her scents are very much a heavier blend usually. She's not one for, light and breezy. It's rather heavy, rather velvety scents usually. She works a lot with florals, she works a lot with fruit. Almost everything she makes has some kind of a peach to it. Even if it's not listed, somehow she manages to get it in there. This like velvety juiciness that's there, and it's here as well in YSL Paris. And this is a very good representation of Sophia Groisman as a perfumer, I have to say. It's been such a big hit in its day. It's had a big heyday in the 80s, and it's still sold today. To this day, it's still available from YSL. This is a massive vintage floral, and what I'm talking about here is a mix of rose, but like a makeup rose. This is not a realistic clipped rose from the garden. It's not fresh. It's not luxurious in any way. It's rather expensive makeup scent. That type of a rose, if you smelled your mother's or grandmother's makeup, then this is the type of scent we're talking about. And this is really resting on the bed of purple florals, which is really what attracted me to this perfume. I'm a big fan of purple florals. I love powdery scents. I love scents that have a bit of a vintage vibe to them. But I felt like this was a little bit difficult to wear nowadays, and I'm struggling to find the correct season to wear it in. I think winter would be good if you are a fan of winter florals. In the summer it could be a bit too suffocating. It's a very long-lasting perfume. It's a sillage monster if you're looking for something that's going to be floral and slightly vintage, and it's going to really sit on you for a long time. This could be your thing, excuse me. The price is really reasonable on it because it's such an old release. So also nice for the pocketbook. Now, who I imagine wearing this scent is really a rather serious lady. A lady who's very cognizant of her finances. Maybe she's a little bit, not cheap. This is not cheap at all, but maybe she's a little bit, into luxury consignment shopping, something like that. Maybe she has things stashed in her attic. Maybe she has some old Givenchy gown packed away in a box somewhere. Nobody is ever going to wear it, but it's there. This is a lady who tallies her expenses every month, although she doesn't have to. This is a lady who is very particular and to the point. She will never be late. Maybe she's not the most exciting lady. I don't know. It sounds like you don't want to be around that person, but this is like your aunt, your aunt that you really admire. Not your fun aunt, not the one that took you to Disneyland. It's the aunt who you're looking at her pearls thinking to yourself, wow, that's what a lady looks like. And this is what this perfume gives you. It is a bit vintage, and for me it creates an association with the makeup bag, yes, but there's a slight mustiness to it. There are woods there, but they're not prominent at all. I would really classify this as a pretty much pure floral, and it does have this mustiness that is either a love or a hate, I think. And so for me, it creates associations with maybe some attic, some storage, something that's not being used, maybe stinginess. But I think another nose could totally have a different impression of this fragrance for sure, because this mustiness is what pushes me away from it, but it could be very attractive to others. So I really hesitate to give this a negative review, because it is a beautiful fragrance and I recognize that it's very, very high quality. So I would say if you like vintage scents and if you love florals, I think that the original Paris by Yves Saint Laurent is a fantastic pick to check out. What I would have loved to smell is a bit more transparency and a little bit less of that mustiness. So for purple florals and iris to be much more to the forefront, I can't really see myself purchasing this fragrance, unfortunately, but it might be your thing, and I give it a big thumbs up for quality. It is amazing quality, very, very nice. And the second one that I'm going to discuss with you today is sort of the opposite to the previous one in terms of its power, sillage, and how stuck it is to you. This is Tom Ford Neroli Portofino Acqua. I bought it in the winter actually, and I bought it on my trip to Florida. It was a little treat, and I think that this really has a nice little corner, a nice little place in my collection for sure. I think it's a summer fragrance, hands down, for me. I don't know whether it would make sense in any other season, if you do live in a place that has proper seasons. I think it has a place somewhere like California or Italy, I would imagine. It is a bit of a Sicilian vibe. It has a bit of a Sicilian vibe to it. And this Neroli Portofino Acqua is basically a very nicely composed and compact neroli scent with some citrus to it and some citrus peel, I would say, rather than citrus even. It is a super unisex fragrance. Absolutely cannot start to imagine, is it feminine, is it masculine? No, it's a scent, and it's almost a solid floor. It's so natural that these types of really natural smelling fragrances, they don't really have a gender attached to it. None of the fragrances that can ever be produced, to me, do have like a really set in stone gender attached to them. Whoever likes to wear them will wear them. But I think this one is truly an example of a completely unisex fragrance. It's a bit tart, it's a bit bitter. There's very much a fresh vibe to it. It's super, super refreshing. I think if you're in a hot summer sort of, not funk, but like if you're in a hot weather climate, then this can be super, super refreshing. At the end of the day, you spray it on yourself just to refresh yourself, and it feels like a blast of cool air just hit you. And I have to say also, it's not the type of a Neroli citrus scent that reminds you of a cleaning product at all. This is truly a nice neroli scent, and like I said, almost a soliflor neroli. If you like neroli with all its slight bitterness, with all its intricacies, it's a very, very interesting interpretation of a soliflor neroli, in my opinion. They cite other things like musk and all kinds of things in it. I don't think that it's very noticeable. I think it's primarily really a heavy neroli scent. In terms of longevity, it lasts about 2 to 3 hours on my skin, which is very fair because it is actually an eau de toilette. This is what I would expect out of an eau de toilette. I think people online have a lot of questions about the longevity of this guy and are saying that it's not very long lasting, and they're correct, it isn't. But I think they're comparing it to the exclusive range, the $400 tiny bottles of Tom Ford. Just because they put it in a similar bottle doesn't mean that it's the same quality. It is not, and it's definitely an eau de toilette. So if you're getting the Parfum from Tom Ford, it's going to be different concentration for sure. There is no doubt about that. So yes, this is a lighter scent. It's going to last anywhere from 2 to 4 hours on your skin. Will need to be frequently reapplied. But because of the type of the scent that it is such a refreshing summer scent. I actually enjoy reapplying because it is very cooling. In terms of this initial burst of bitterness and somewhat of a citrusy scent, it's super refreshing, and I kind of look forward to it in the summer. But if you are a stickler for longevity, I think that's a pass, because it is an eau de toilette and it acts like an eau de toilette, even maybe closer to an eau de cologne, but not questionable enough for me to dock points off of it for longevity. And I think it's reasonable for an eau de toilette. So I'm not really able to tell you what kind of a person I think would wear it, which I usually really like to do with fragrances when I'm doing a review. I'll describe the mental image that comes to mind. This is rather a place or even a state of mind, state of being. I would imagine maybe southern Italy, maybe one of the islands, boat cruise, going around the coastline with neroli blooming everywhere. This is very, very natural, it's a state of being in the south of Italy. So quite an interesting pick, I think, if you are into very unisex, very fresh fragrances, and I would recommend you check it out if you're into that kind of thing. Also, the interesting idea is if you and your husband or boyfriend are using the same kind of fragrances, you're both into unisex fresh fragrances, that could be good. And also in terms of it being a Tom Ford, it is super reasonably priced for Tom Ford. Well, because it's not a toilette, it's not a very highly concentrated fragrance. So if you're interested in trying something super fresh from Tom Ford brand in general, this is decent. So I would say go for it if you want fresh neroli. This is a good one. That's it for today. I hope it was fun for you to watch. See you guys later. Have a good day. Bye bye.